Hey guys, how you going? How are you? And how is everybody today? It's Angelina County. I am here after the election, and I'm in a dilemma. I hope maybe some of you guys can help me out. Let me take me up here real quick. Um, I have been watching and I have really been trying to follow the laws and rules of gun ownership, what a person can and can't own, what's banned, what's not banned, whole 9 yards. The reason why it affects me is 10, 12, 12, 13 years ago, I had a felony, third-degree felony on my record. And it happened up in Seattle, Washington. I'm not gonna go into it. I'm just gonna say is that when you have PTSD and you don't take your meds, it's not really a good idea to start getting on that stump whiskey, I guess. So, uh, and yeah, the law enforcement of Seattle PD didn't like the fact that I had something to say, and I didn't realize when to shut the hell up. Anyway, so that brings me to the dilemma of what I can and what I can't carry, and I've seen so many videos on this, and this is what I've come up as a conclusion. And bear with me to the end, and I'll explain why I have come to this conclusion. Number one, using a weapon in self-defense, that is supposedly why we have availability to have guns. It is portrayed into whether can you hunt, can you carry a weapon when you hunt? Do you have to carry a muzzle loader during Black Power season? Do you have to carry bow and arrow during? Ever since I was growing up, and this is the age where I grew up in. I was 16 and I drove a pickup truck, secondhand, of course. But in my gun rack, I had a 12 gauge and a 30-30, and it wasn't for self protection. It was for the fact is that if I wanted to go hunting, and a bunch of guys wanted to go hunting on the way home, then I had it. The other reason was is that if you come across a deer, nobody was looking. Well, that's meat in the freezer. A lot of people say, well, that's poaching or whatever. Well, I wasn't meaning to look at it. It just happened to be there was a deer there, and it ended up in my freezer. That's just the way we were raised. We understand about poaching. We understand if you get caught. We agree that if we get caught poaching. But anyway, I digress. So, what I have determined the best for me is a muzzle loader. I have a single shot, 50 caliber. It's black powder. It's ignited by black powder and 209 cap, and it is considered a black powder weapon. Because the reason I'm giving the specifics, because the fact is it doesn't use rimfire or center fire ignition. So, in other words, you got just I don't know if you guys know whatever you take it, you put your powder in, it out like Civil War movies or whatever. You come in, you break the breech, you put a 209 shell in there, then you're ready to shoot. No way in hell can it be used for an assault rifle. It's basically for hunting, and that's pretty much it. Well, target practice, plus they're easy to shoot. Anyway, this is what I have been. This is what I have been dealt, and what I can deal with. I have a shot. I have my 50 caliber muzzle loader. I also have a 50 caliber 1854 musket that was used in the Civil War. Then I also have two 1851 Navy Confederate Colts that are all black powder. And in my Colt, I mean, in my 54 and my Colts, I use caps. I'm boring shit, but anyway. So anyway, here comes the issue: is that I am legally able to carry these devices on me, on my person. They're not considered a weapon. They're considered an antique curio, which means curiosity. So in other words, um, they still operate. But the fact is that they have significant historical meaning to some people, and for me, anyway. So, but here's my dilemma. The rules on self-defense are pretty much being, the hairs are pretty much being split. And here's your dilemma. Here's your dilemma and my dilemma. Okay, let's say, for example, I'm carrying up my black powder weapon legally. I walk into a store and there's a robbery going on. Am I authorized to use deadly force to stop this robbery? No. If an individual has a weapon on somebody else and has not shot, but has a weapon on somebody else, am I authorized to use deadly force in today's court system? No. There's going to be a lot of people say, well, in court, you're going to be able to. No. If you enter a courtroom in today's society and you have a weapon on you, they're going to split hairs and find a way to put your ass in jail for 10 years. I'll go further. Say, for example, you walk into the same store and there's shots being fired. You're sitting there and you're looking at the individual who's firing the shots. He's putting rounds downrange. You're sitting there to look at him. Can you, with no hassle in the legal system, utilize deadly force to put him down? No. Because you don't know what you're shooting at. You don't know what he's shooting at. Trust me, I'm saying in Angelina County, Texas, okay, this is Texas. We're supposed to be these are the questions they're going to ask you and that you're going to have to hire an attorney to explain. If you walk in and there's an individual who is actually firing or whatever, do you have deadly force? No. By you carrying a weapon on your person, it is to deter, detain, distract. That is it. You are not to threaten. You're not to pull your weapon. You are not to actually feign pulling your weapon, or no way, shape, form, or fashion, because that is an intent for deadly force for the person who. But the individual who has his weapon already out, he must be pointing the weapon at you and threatened you, not others, but threatened you. The reason why I say this is because the fact is, too often, many times, we have had individuals who have stood up for other people and took the shot, took the guy out, wounded, whatever. In criminal court, you got a good chance of not going to jail. But in civil court, you're going to get sued. In my training, as for example, let's say, for example, I run up a situation. I have deterred this individual. I diffuse the situation. So a gun turns around, he runs off. He is no longer a threat to me. He's no longer a threat to anybody else as far as I can see. It's not my business to see what he could do down the road. That's the cop's job. Okay? You're out of your jurisdiction. Yeah, that's too much for me. No. All you can do is contain what you have here. So in other words, when he runs away, you've done your job so far. You have deterred this individual from harming anybody else. Now, if there are people who are harmed in this incident, here's your next dilemma. Do I render first aid? Common sense would tell about, yeah, you help somebody when they're down. You know, you go to them and you comfort them, you do whatever. The law does not require you to do so, but the common sense thing and the compassionate thing would do so. However, in civil court, if you are not properly trained to render first aid to an individual who is shot, and you apply a tourniquet, you apply a pressure bandage, you provide first aid care for this individual to start the breathing, stop the bleeding, protect the wound, treat for shock. If you do those things like you're trained to, guess what? You can be held responsible civilly, because the fact is, let's say you apply that tourniquet. Tourniquets, in my training, may be different, but 2 inches above the wound. Let's say, for example, because you're in the heat of whatever. So let's say, for example, you put it 1 inch above the wound, or you put it 3 inches above the wound. There's a civil case right there. So there, you're not being charged criminally with the crime. but it will be nitpicked, like picking that shit out of pepper. And you're going to be, even though you're in that frame of mind, you're in that moment, your choices at that particular time are going to ruin the rest of your life. You saying this can't happen. You say, no, that'll never happen. They'll get the benefit of the doubt. They'll know what I meant to do, whatever bullshit. You're in front of a jury. You've got a district attorney sitting there trying to find you some reason why they can justify where you shouldn't have pulled the trigger, you shouldn't have touched these individuals, you should have let it go. What will they be the reason? Because it's not your job. It's the law enforcement, fire department, and paramedics' job to render first aid. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a lot of wounds that if you do not receive medical care to stop the breathing, stop the bleeding, in 20 minutes, you're in the red zone. In 20 and 30 minutes, you better be on an operating table somewhere so they can surgically stop the bleeding. So now you just got to sit there and wait on first responders to get there. And then you have to live with the fact that if I could have put a tourniquet on there, that individual would still be alive. You're going to question that for the rest of your life. Now let's talk money. Here is where you're gonna blow your mind. So, well, should I shoot or not? Or should I render aid? Should I do these things or whatever? Because the fact is, you know what? You're going to have to hire a lawyer because it's going to go to trial. It's going to trial. So you're going to have to hire a lawyer for your criminal case. And a self-defense case or any self-defense case, that's going to be $50,000 at least. That's if you waive all the plea deals and you go and you say whatever. They're going to try to get you an appeal and get you a plea deal because the fact is that still appears like a win for the district attorney. Meanwhile, you got to get $50,000 for an attorney. You're going to have at least excessive bail set on you. So in other words, you're probably not going to be able to make bail. Then you're going to be sitting in a jail for a year, almost 2 years, waiting for your trial as they postpone it from hearing to hearing to hearing because they're not ready to go to trial now. So now you're sitting in there, haven't been proven guilty, sitting there waiting on a trial to prove that you're innocent. It proves that you were warranted in the use of a deadly weapon. That's just criminally. Civilly, you're going to have the same type of scenario. The same attorney you have is not going to actually represent you in civil court. It's not in his wheelhouse group. It's not in his freaking forte. So he's going to refer you to another civil legal attorney. He's going to do another retainer. It's another $50,000. Plus you have to pay court fees. Plus the fact is that the individual's family and loved ones are going to be the ones doing the suing of you because the fact is if this individual passes away and he dies, they don't give it. They're looking for a reason. They're wanting to justify in their brain housing group who was the cause of this. You would go back to who was the person who actually touched him first, or this person first. Forget about the freaking shooter. Whose duty was it to save this guy's life? It ain't mine and it ain't yours. This is why our gun laws are being structured. Back in the old days, back in the 1880s, which I think maybe I should have been more. If an individual drew on you, all you had to have was one witness. Drew on me, yeah. That's it. Okay. You can go free. But you had to have a witness or two witnesses. Nowadays, if you go into, and the Uvalde situation made me come to grips of what the actual laws state. We have 90-something officers who do not act when there are individuals. I think 22 individuals were killed, were actually in a classroom and killed 22 people And the law enforcement just waited for him to run out of bullets. Right? Treated it as a hostage situation. Why you got rounds going? That'll never make sense to me. But the fact of the matter is that the law enforcement officer didn't do nothing. They don't get charged. They don't get charged. There's no pending charges, nothing. They're going to walk free because they didn't act. That tells me, per the law, it's better for you not to act. It's better for you not to do anything and just let it happen and fall in front of you and just be thankful to God that you got out of it. The parameters of self-defense, one of the parameters are you are there to run, hide. And when those two choices are not there, then you fight. So they're telling you it's more beneficial to you to run and try to hide. And your last option is to fight. Okay, I get that. But what about us people say, you know what, I want to protect somebody else? What about I don't want to see somebody go through that? I don't want to see that. I want to prevent this before it gets out of hand. What about those people? You're going to trial and you're going to go to jail, or you're going to get a civil case on you that makes you wish you went to jail. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose your car. You're going to lose everything, probably your job. You're going to lose everything. Why are you going to lose your job? Because the fact is you're sitting in jail for 2 years, damn it, waiting for a trial. They got to let you go. So the legal ramifications are much further, and they're not explained to individuals because the fact is that we're still debating who can have what kind of gun or whatever. And if you actually have a person on you, even if it's legal, even if you're carrying this weapon legally and you're openly carrying this weapon, automatically you're assumed to be doing something wrong, or you're automatically assumed to be a danger to society. Case in point, this buddy, well, I don't know if he's a buddy or not, but anyway, he owns cases. And him and I were talking. We were discussing this topic of, what do you do or whatever. And when I go to the range, I open carry because I'm going to the range. We're going there to shoot. And I asked, I said, you don't open carry no more. He goes, no. I said, I don't, because I'm afraid to get shot. And I thought about that for a minute, whatever. He said, no, it's not what you're thinking. He said, this is it. He said, if the law pulls up and I have a weapon on me, I'm going to get shot. Case in point, our officers are down here in Texas. An acorn hit on top of his roof. He emptied 2 magazines. I know he emptied one. Yeah, I know he emptied one. Claimed he was shot. Shots fired. I'm wounded. I'm hit. Whatever. All because of an acorn on a tree. So you can imagine what you can do if you're just walking around with it, going shopping or something like that. People, he caused it. He know what I did it. And actually, I talked to some individuals who are veteran buddies of mine or whatever, and we've kind of changed our way of thinking, because once we get back and we see this, because the fact is we always had rules of engagement. We always had areas that were no fire areas. Don't matter what happens in that area, the Taliban can be back and forth with mortars or whatever, but you cannot fire. You had to get permission to fire in this area because there were civilians who caused collateral damage. And then you have free fire zones. When anything that moves, you busted a cap, or you put a round downrange. Then there was this area of gray zone that you didn't know. You're checking your compass, you're making sure the grid coordinates are right. Is he on this side, or is he on that side, or whatever? That is the question that will come to every individual who decides to utilize their weapon. Not only the repercussions that I actually had to pull the trigger on somebody. You'll have plenty of time to deal with that later, believe me. Okay. But let's put it to a different thing. What if you walk into a situation and there is a person on his knees and there's a guy with a gun to his head? What do you do? What do you do? The law states you run. You hide. You take no, you're not going to get in any trouble, any charges caught if you run away. because you have no duty to protect this individual. You have no requirement to protect this individual. And if you are looking at it in the long run, like me, I'll be sitting there like, you know what? I, I don't know what I would do in that situation when it comes to me, because I would be divided. One head would want me to protect this individual and save them, and then on the other hand, it's like, you know what? I got to look out for myself, my family, or whatever, because I can't afford to get charged and go to jail for 10 years or go to court for 5 years and have this hanging over my head. I don't want to. I can't do that. I asked this question to a person who's a gun control advocate. They're like, get rid of all the guns, get rid of everything. You don't even have them. Don't even have them self protect. Whatever. Gun control nut. And I asked him. I said, well, let me ask you a question. What if you were in that scenario and you were on your knees? You were the guy on your knees with the gun to his head. Would you want to have a weapon to defend yourself? Would you want somebody to step in and save you? Would you? Would you? And if you wanted somebody to step in and save your life, now you're asking them to take brunt, because the fact is they saved your ass. Because you shouldn't have had a gun. You shouldn't have had a gun anyway. So I kind of look at it this way: all you people that are against guns or against self-defense or against one person defending each other, I'm sorry, I got to be an asshole and say, well, you're on your own, bro. You're on your own. And that is the decision we're being forced into making. The Concealed Carry CCCA. They are an insurance group where you can go in, you can pay monthly, and they're an insurance group. So in other words, if you use your weapon in self-defense, then they will take over your case. They will come in. This is what they say. They will come in. They will pay for you to get out of jail, pay your bond for you. They will dump money into your defense, hire a lawyer for you. But now, that was the preface. That's what they were all. Now they're concentrating on training, and I kind of wondered why go back from what really people want. Here's what I found out. It's because now that they're learning that it's not cut and dry. The fact is they got to retire an attorney, and this attorney could be tied up for 2 years trying to get to go to trial over a person who was utilizing self-defense. And they got to make a decision. We still going to pay for this or whatever? They're saying no. They're saying that they won't cover that anymore. They're not saying because the fact is that they are not right. They're saying it because the fact is that it's too expensive for them to cover. So if it's too expensive for them to cover after you pay your money and you got to add dues to it, and they're too expensive for them to cover, what do you think it's going to do for you when you're on your own? Now, what if you go the other side? And I was asked this question by a mother and her daughter. They were getting ready to go. She was getting ready to go to college. Now, this college wasn't very far away, but she was going to spend a lot of time, library hours there after dark or whatever. And she was mulling whether she wanted to get a weapon or not to protect her at night when she was coming from the library, being safe. And they asked me, what's your opinion or whatever? What weapon do you think would be good for this or whatever? Because they see me at the range all the time. They see me out going around or whatever. And I said, ma'am, in this environment, I would choose a non-lethal method. I'm not a big proponent of the sprays or the cayenne pepper or those or whatever, because the fact is that in order for it to be effective, they've got to be in distance, in spraying distance. I like to have them farther away. And a lot of people don't understand this, and I'll go into this, but when you're trained in the military, when you're actually trained for self-defense, there are, the way it is that the method is 2 shots 2 shots to the chest and 1 to the head. Now, here's the reason why. This is actually it's actually, a lot of people say, well, it's just something. No, it's not. It's actually a method. Whenever an individual approaches you and they have their weapon drawn on you or whatever, the first shot is going to be to their gunshot arm. Let's say, for example, the individual has the right hand. He has the right hand out here or whatever. First shot is going to put it in the chest right there, Brad, right there. Why? Because the fact is you're going to deter him from being able to aim accurately, and you're going to be able to stop his forward motion. And you're going to be able to make him think about what he's done. If he continues forward, he continues in his method, he still creates a threat to you, then guess what? The next shot is going into the other shoulder. That one there basically says, I'm serious. Because the next one I fire, you're not going to like. Not redemption, you're not going to be happy. So this is the thought process. You shoot at the gun hand or the shoulder or the side of the gun hand, then you shoot the next side, the next. And the theory of that is because he can't really shoot with his right hand, but he can switch hands and shoot left-handed, which he's less than hindered to do. And then your third final shot would be if you cannot stop him, he keeps coming at you. And this is very, very important in the civilian world. He has to fire a shot for you to walk away, for you to get out of trouble in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You have got to wait for him to fire a shot. That guarantees that will hold in court because he shot first, and you have to prove it. So, in other words, when they come out to the scene or whatever, you should be telling the officer, while you're getting rolled off in this way, find that bullet. Find the bullet that he fired. Okay. And you need to be telling them he fired first. Check his hands for gunpowder. Check his hands or whatever. And the reason why I say you need to do that is because the fact is that once a shooting happens, people disappear. They do not want to be a part of that. They do not want to come forward. They do not want to say nothing about it. They disappear. So you're the only witness that's actually heard who actually can tell the cops from the get-go what happened. He fired a shot at me. I fired back. Boom, there we are. But getting back to my story, I told the lady that, in my opinion, for her going to school, it would be better for her to get a non-lethal pistol, which you can get a Byrna. You can actually get an HD50. It's a T4 model made by Umarex. And matter of fact, I'll show you. These, now, if you notice, I've got this loaded with 2 rounds. 2 rounds. No, 1 round. There's 1 round loaded in there, and it's a synthetic ball. Then there's also, you can also get 2. I'm not plugging a Umarex, but anyway, here's a round pepper ball, and this is CS gas. So in my thinking is that whenever I go out, I will, if I'm going to the range, I take my muzzle loaders. If I'm staying in town and I'm just running around or whatever, I carry this Umarex, and I'm not going to post it on there because YouTube, they have funny ways of not posting anything. But anyway, that's the rounds, and it fires 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds on this particular device. And that's what I said. I suggest this. I suggest putting 3 synthetic rubber rounds in and load it with 3, and then also load it with 2 rounds of CS gas. Now, in that situation, the reason why I recommend it this way is because the fact is that it's enough power. She's got enough yards. It's accurate up to 25 yards. She can fire 25 yards to get this guy's attention, or she can fire it up close. And if the situation keeps coming, she can fire the pepper spray, which is going to disturb his. He's not going to be happy. Okay, he's not going to be happy. He ain't killed him yet, but he may sure think he wants to die. And you can still pump these rounds out at him while you're actually getting inside the vehicle. That is what we're come down to for non-lethal force. Used to it just to be the spray, the tasers, all these, but I was uncomfortable utilizing them because the fact is they had to be up on me. And 9 times out of 10, when they're coming, their forward motion is going to get me. So even though I tase them or whatever, they're still too close to me. I like to have people. I actually have like a 6 foot perimeter around me. And when you get inside of that 6 foot perimeter, I get nervous. It's like, okay, what's your intentions? What are you doing, or whatever. So I'm no gun expert. All I can do is refer you to what I've learned in combat. Um, Close quarters combat. I look at a lot of videos because there's methods that change. People have actually changed things from when I was in. I do things the old way, but from individuals we've learned since individuals that served in Iraq and Afghanistan, we have come through with that knowledge to better those techniques. And I pay attention to all the guys that post those or whatever. And it's not a pistol contest to see who's right or wrong. I'm trying to learn. So if I ever get in a situation, I can know, I can have a good plan of what I'm going to freaking do. But everybody knows whenever you're on a military operation or something like that, all your plan at first, all your plans go out first 2 seconds. And that ain't gonna work. We got, but no. So that's the dilemma whenever you're utilizing a weapon that could take a life, because get prepared. Even though that you're in the right, even though you saved a life, even though you've protected individuals, then you're still going to go to trial criminally, and you're still going to go civilly. Okay. So I would like to ask a question of somebody. I asked this. I've been a smart ass one day, and I had the guy with whatever, and I had my weapon. He said, "Why you got to carry it?" When I was going to the range, I said, "Why do you got?" I said, "Well, I'm going to the range." He goes, "Yeah, but you got a holster." I said, "Well, because that's the way I carry it to load it safely. I carry it on me because it's safe that way." Well, okay. Let me mark you down as no for gun control. That means one less person I got to save your ass. You against gun control, dude. Guess what they do? Freaking use a gun on you. Hey. And I'm taking that in because the fact is that, you know what, if you're against gun control, then you're against me saving your ass, saving your life. So okay, it's fair trade. Because now the courts have come in to the point to where they're at you in each and individual case, and they're looking for a reason to put you in jail. It is all politically motivated by each side. For those Democrats, Republicans who want gun control, who don't want gun control, or whatever, your case will be used and reviewed, because the fact is, what are the circumstances, and it will be they will put that shit at a pepper, and there you are. So, in closing, this is my dilemma. If you have any answers, please give them to me. I don't want the Billy Bad out. I shoot that something. Okay, but think about what I said. Is it worth it to you? Because I don't want to go to jail for 10 years for doing the right thing. Because sometimes doing the right, and this is a perfect example. Sometimes doing the right thing ain't always doing the right thing. And this is a really perfect example. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But even during incidences in 9/11, in the Boston Marathon, those incidences, those individuals that came to help those individuals, they had to get statements from the persons that were wounded to exonerate the individuals who actually performed life-saving procedures. It ain't something everybody talks about. But they go through it line by line by line. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? And they critique your technique that you utilize to save this guy's arm, leg, or any appendage, and they critique it to see if they can find something with it. Like I said, put a tourniquet 1 inch above the one. Oh, you're liable for. And everybody knows you've been in a combat situation. You don't get a ruler. You ain't got time to do all that shit. Like, okay, it's 2 inches. Plug it, take it. I gotta go. Especially in those kind of situations, it's like, you know what? Do the best you can. You move on to another one, because you can't just stay with one person. It's like, you know, let me move. I gotta move, shoot, communicate, man. I gotta save this one. And that's what happens. That's what happened during 9/11 and also Boston Marathon. A lot of things that happened that explain to us that you have to get in that mindset that you're there to save people. You're not there to replace their appendage. You're not there. You are there to save their ass, give them to buy time where they can get to the hospital. That's it. The race is against time. The race is against uh, uh, not how well you do, but it's against time. If you do something to provide to stop the bleeding or start their breathing to where they can hang in there until an ambulance gets there, we get professional people, then I believe you're doing the right thing. And I don't believe you should stop at one person. I believe that, you know what? Do it, get it done with, boom. Those are the next. If you put a if you put a tourniquet on somebody, a medic would appreciate it if you just put a T in their head, okay, with their blood, okay, T in their head, and mark a time frame on it. Mark a time frame on it. On your head, put T, and then put what time you put it on there. That's very vital information, because the fact is that not only does it tell them that you got a tourniquet on there, but it tells you when you applied the tourniquet. So when the surgeon gets there at pre-op, he knows how long this tourniquet has been on, and if the appendage is viable and can actually be saved. So there's a lot of things you can do or whatever, but here is the kicker. Will they allow you to do them? Will you be held accountable for trying to help? Will you be held accountable for doing the right thing? The answer is yes. We have too many cases that every time deadly force was used, we have individuals. Rittenhouse was another one. There was another one, I think it was McKinney, the Marine, who said they go to trial. The individuals who have the weapons, they don't. They get charged with aggravated assault. But since you actually took a person's life, you are going to trial. Case, facts. Please present your cases where I can reference them in case I have to use them. Because the fact is, if you're a gun owner, it's coming. You're gonna have to justify your actions, I guess. Okay. I think that's all I got. But anyway, thanks guys for listening or whatever. Please, just for shits and giggles, just please press the share button or the like button. Let YouTube know that I'm out there putting videos out there, just so I can get interested people that maybe we can share information and learn some stuff, what's going on and how we protect ourselves. You guys be good. Be careful. I'm out.